Good evening and welcome to Chaos in London. Tonight we are having a vampire social scene as Merlin, the Tremere, has placed a call to Miss Dunstan. He obtained contact information through the assistance of the Malkavian Seneschal and invited her to his occult shop, feeling that perhaps there's some business they can discuss here in the city. As far as their place in it, as both being fairly new, as well as what goals they might each have, and how they might assist one another in those. The occult shop's a fairly small, traditional storefront in London, and kept sort of while it's updated and kept clean, it's also done in stonework and heavy curtains, that sort of thing. As you would arrive, Merlin is organizing things, keeping the shop up to date and clean. He's got a variety of goods.
Good evening, sir.
You will look up and then wave. It's a pleasure to see you this evening.
You have a lovely shop.
Thank you. Yeah. It purchased it sight unseen before I moved here, so.
And she kind of scans the shop from where she's standing.
So, anything I can interest you in before we care for a little tour? Do you have any particular interests?
I'm more of a, if something catches my eye, I'll ask about it kind of girl.
Well, there's something to be said for that. Don't be afraid to ask if there is something, but
A tour would be lovely.
he kind of gestures. He says, "Well, it's nothing real elaborate or fantastic. Been fortunate to collecting a variety of inventory, but I like to keep my shop itself relatively small." He says, "I've got the up front in the curious cases is primarily jewelry, gemstones, that sort of thing. I try to avoid the New Age occult crap."
Understandably so. It seems kind of to be a bigger market for that kind of stuff. You could say this is more special.
Yeah, I try to stick to the specialized products, definitely. Like you say, healing crystals, that sort of thing. You can get those in any yoga shop or what have you.
Right.
I've made more of an effort to focus on the unusual.
Like to keep it interesting, huh?
Well, the history of it is what really fascinates me.
There's some things to be said about knowing your product.
Well, I like to think I know what the hell I'm doing.
Don't we all?
Well, there's truth to that.
Hmm. Well, you've invited me here, so.
Arms and armor that were rumored to have significant meaning.
Just so you know, I know that you were talking because I could hear you from upstairs, but almost everything from the last thing I said until now was cut out.
Perfect. You gesture and say, well, we've got historic arms and armor that were believed to be magic in various fashion. One of the most common being the runic swords.
Ooh.
They've made efforts as well to obtain from a number of different sources objects associated with the old crafts, Wiccan, uh, being a newer revivalist version, still of course holds value. But the early paganism, the druidic practices, the traditional witchcrafts, Gaelic, Welsh, some of the Norse and Scandinavian practices that were brought over, in addition to Norman and Baltic practices. So there's a little bit of everything, certainly. Which I found is also good business. And then off to the far side here, I have the more exotic. We bring in Mediterranean and African practices, the romantic cultures, Grecan cultures. We also have the Egyptian, South America, South African, bits and pieces of Slavic, Eastern. The Far Eastern and Oriental cultures had fascinating forms of paganism all their own. Although, of course, they didn't term it as such because Christianity didn't come in with a violent flaming sword and murder the hell out of everyone who practiced it.
Mhm. Well, you seem to have quite the variety of fun things.
Well, that's generally my intent.
Hmm.
My intention in calling you tonight, however, was not to necessarily give you a sales pitch. Well, certainly the shop is always open for business. Be a damn poor businessman if I wasn't. But my concern is our meeting the other night, in which it was made fairly clear that you are newer to the area.
Yes, I am.
Something I can relate to. I personally am relatively new to the neighborhood as well.
Yeah, this place is certainly different.
Yeah, that it is.
All the things going on, with those sins and
Yes, I've only begun to catch some of the details on that, but it does seem to be a bit of a wild handful.
oh, I've encountered two of them with a few other individuals in the city, and I'll tell you what, the one didn't really say much. I don't think I even caught their name, but Desire, she's one annoying individual.
Well,
Annoying is polite about it.
that would make sense as well, given the particulars of that. Can't say I've ever met someone driven by desire who wasn't annoying.
Oh no. She she tops it all.
I see. She must be really something to have made that kind of impact.
Yeah, you could say that. So I've noticed that the tactic seems to just be annoy them until they move on to a different location within the city, which doesn't really seem to be all that useful.
Their tactic or yours for dealing with them?
That tactic.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like it would in the end yield a whole lot long term.
No. Unfortunately, it's what works until they can figure out a better solution. You'd think keeping them in the same place would at least make it easier so you know where exactly they are.
Yeah, one would think. Although, again, we have different ideas sometimes of what the best solution is.
Quite true.
And I suppose that too is true of most people, isn't it?
Different strokes for different folks.
Yes, I've heard that particular phrasing of it before.
That seems to be fairly accurate.
True. Well, with all this going on, it seems to me our side of things is relatively shuffled, as it were. You can
Yes.
get the indication there was a lot of stability there, which certainly concerns me. Yeah, I for one prefer the city I'm living in not falling apart.
I must agree. I'm not quite sure what anyone's doing to avoid the foundation from crumbling.
Well, that's exactly my concern. I hear relatively little out of our side of things in general.
Yes. Alarming.
My understanding is that you and your family are tangentially involved, so to speak. Certainly it impacts you, obviously, the stability of the city, as it does anyone living here, but some of the politics are maybe they're somewhat once removed, so to speak.
Yes, yes.
Not to say you're not involved or affected, but with differing obligations and expectations.
Yes, yes. It's of my understanding that I'm not to interfere with certain things. It's kind of hard to not interfere in those things when you don't know what exactly they are.
Yeah, I imagine that could be an issue. I got the impression as well that the city under Cameron leadership. Perhaps as those who have different opinions.
Well, as of right now, they seem to be doing a, pardon my French, pretty shitty job.
You know, both sides seem to be relatively idle. And there's a prince who keeps a Malkavian for a seneschal, which is either brilliant or the largest buffoonery I have ever seen. The verdict's still out.
Indeed, it's hard to say. Certainly knew how to put me in touch with my own here, that's for sure.
Yes, I noticed that they were rather prompt on that, which there's something to be said for that.
Well, it's not like they actively reached out to me and said, "Here's your people, get out of here."
No.
But they were more than willing to give the information when asked.
Well, and sometimes it's just a matter of asking the right way, too. In my experience. Those, especially those who have been around for any amount of time, tend to sometimes overlook what should be obvious as they look deeper.
Yes.
So if the object is not to interfere, but currently there's nothing to interfere with, seems to me that leaves you fairly flexible to pursue what course of action you might feel is most beneficial.
Yes.
Seems to me what would be beneficial for both of us would be to establish some sort of stability here.
And not just for us, but for others of other types.
Yes, although I know little of them firsthand, I know many legends regarding skin changers and sorceress types, and not to mention the other families of our kind.
Correct. I've
It seems to me you are the type as well that would recognize the value in atypical resources being brought to the table. That's something that not many of our kind recognize. Too wrapped up in tradition, perhaps.
perhaps. And there's a variety of resources out there. Why not delve into them?
Precisely.
Though I suppose there are some that like to keep their hands clean.
There are. There's always going to be those who wish someone else would just make things go away.
Yes.
Those people can be useful too.
Yes. They have their own uses.
I have here a relatively well established place of business. It's relatively private. Any kind of gestures around for obvious reasons. Very unusual things are discussed here.
Well, it isn't a cult shop.
Exactly my point. So if one had the intent and felt it beneficial to establish a protected place, an Elysium type environment, seems to me this would be a fairly prudent option. We also have a space next door currently used for warehouse and storage that could be expanded into. And certainly a museum type front could expand upon it. Perhaps those things that are not beneficial to be sold, more educational opportunities, as it were.
Yes.
For example, we have in the back some items from some of the early witch trials when there was conflict between Christianity and Protestantism. The easiest way to unite them, if you needed them to unite, was give them a common enemy. The easiest common enemy, of course, being the heathen, the witch. Suffer not a witch to live. It was something that both factions could agree upon.
She nods. Yes.
I have found that those items, if put up for sale, tend to draw the wrong type of person. Because you find those who revel in their violent history, or you find those who feel some sort of retribution is necessary. That doesn't seem like a useful path. In my experience. So it seems to me that would be just another example of something better suited to museum atmosphere.
Yes.
would you think that such a location would be welcomed among the various factions?
I don't see why it wouldn't be.
Well, I don't know as many of them as well, so I've had fewer opportunities to branch out.
Well, I have encountered my fair share of the other types in the city, though not many of our own.
Yes, well, it's another point of concern, isn't it? If we do not have many of our own here,
They
these
seem
limited
quite willing.
options.
Seem quite willing to work with one another.
I guess it's somewhat of a relief to hear. Question is, how willing to work with us will they be?
Suppose that depends on who's asked.
I imagine that would be true. Another reason why I feel offering a sanctuary of sorts, sort of a, well, similar to an Elysium, I suppose, might behoove the case.
Yes. May encourage more of us night folk to work together.
My thoughts exactly.
It seems on our own that not much is getting accomplished.
Yes, I'd noticed that as well. But then the question remains, is that a cause that you would reasonably support?
I would, though I can't safely speak for the rest of my own, but I would be behind it.
A conversation with the rest of your own is much easier to have, however, if we've already established support that way.
Yes.
Well, and with your support, I will get word to those in charge, as it were, of what our intent here is.
And I will do the same on my end to ensure everybody's on the same page.
Excellent. I think opportunity exists for a beneficial, if not partnership, then certainly working relationship between yours and ours. Yeah, the more we can do to facilitate that, I think the further ahead we will be.
Yes. Better off the city will be. Seems
Yes, that's certainly valid as well.
seems a bit silly that everyone is so divided and quiet, and we all have the same bloody issues.
Yes, there's certainly truth to that as well. Plenty of issues to go around.
Oh, yes.
Is there anything you might be looking for initially, or that you think your family might look for initially to get this established?
Well, I have a few people I can discuss things with.
Well, it would be beneficial as well. That that being said, is there anything you personally might look for out of this? Anything I can assist you with?
Oh, well, hmm. Hmm.
As I said, I can't offer much in the way of healing crystals, so if that's your thing,
No,
apologize.
no, I'm definitely not into healing crystals. Hmm. I'm more of a hmm. I tend to just get right into things and do my lack the patience some others might have.
Yes, the ways of the arcane are not always the most efficient. However, they tend to yield interesting results, in my experience.
Well, I mean, there's ways to do everything, multiple ways. I just go for direct myself.
And there's certainly merit to that. No doubt about it. Is there I suppose in the meantime, then, perhaps the best solution would be simply to let you know should you need something in the future. We are here to assist.
Should you need anything, you know how to contact me. Clearly.
Well, and that should have addressed at least to some degree your communication. You know where the shop is now.
That
And,
I do.
should have my number from contacting you.
Yes. Being as the occult seems to be your thing, have you ever heard of a bar called the Crossroads?
Can't say I have, although I'm familiar with a number of cultures in which that's a symbolic.
I will put it to you this way. It's a very interesting place. Really unlike anything I've ever seen before.
Well, I suspect we'll get similar responses from this place once we get it operational.
It's a strange place. I recommend checking it out if you get an opportunity.
We'll certainly keep it in mind. I tend not to be much of a bar goer myself. I'm rather particular about what I drink. He kind of smirks a little bit.
Fancy that. This place happens to take note of such things.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm not sure. Like I said, this place is unlike any place I've ever been to.
Well, keep it in mind, and perhaps.
Seems to be a good place to meet others.
Well, meeting others is good, but if we can meet them on our terms, I think that would be beneficial to have that option. And I
Very much
suspect
so.
our prince would frown upon us bringing skin changers into his Elysium.
You think?
Well, I never assume anything, especially from a man who keeps a Malkavian. And woman, you know how those titles and genders flex, but the point remains the same.
Yeah, they didn't seem too keen on dealing with the skin changers. Period. I
Truth be
recall.
told, I didn't think to ask. Not generally something one prompts his friends for. Hey, how do you feel if I invite outsiders and traditional enemies into your office?
I made mention of it initially when they were discussing certain matters when I first came in. And, well, yeah. Something about, I'd like to stay, and she lifts up her fingers and does the quotes, alive, sort of deal.
Well, there are those that are dramatic.
They are. Far too many for my tastes.
Yes, well, that's the price you pay, I suppose. Perhaps it's old age getting to them.
Perhaps.
Well, then, if there's nothing else, I suppose I would be beneficial if I open up for some regular business tonight. Much as I enjoy your company, it tends not to pay the taxes.
No, I understand completely. We all have to make money somehow.
He kind of winks and says, not all of us have a rich Italian uncle.
Oh. That's true.
And he'll kind of give you a nod and say, well, feel free to stop back anytime and I'll begin work on this museum region. Perhaps set up some sort of option for discreet conversation.
Need any help with the setup? I'll be around.
We will keep that in mind. Yeah, I hope it'll go relatively smooth, but who can say?
Oh. Yeah, that's a hard one to say how it'll go down.
We've all seen some strange
Have. Well, I suppose I will leave you to your work.
It sounds like a plan. In the meantime, I wish you good luck with any of your endeavors. If there's anything I can do to assist, let me know.
I will, thank you. And the same goes for you.
he holds out a card and he says, "Don't be afraid to tell friends and family either. Yeah, here you've got a couple of those."
Just a couple. She chuckles. She'll take the card.
He just starts moving about the shop, then kind of getting things set up, preparing to open for business, it looks like.
All right.
Neat. Well, unless there's anything else you want to do.
She'll let him go about his work and part ways.
And he'll wish you well as you leave. Not a savage. I think that'll wrap it up then.
All right.
So, this has been a Chaos in London social scene featuring a pair of slightly motivated vampires. So, thank you for joining me, and for watchers, thank you for watching.